Hello students, welcome to my channel SST The Necessity. This is Archana Kapoor and today I am going to start lesson 17 Fundamental Rights, Fundamental Duties and Directive Principles of State Policies. Students, you know that our country was under the British rule for a long time and we were not given status of citizens at that time. After independence, when the constitution making process was started, then our constitution framers they decided that some basic rights should be given to the Indian citizens, and these basic rights are fundamental rights. The fundamental rights were included in the constitution because they were considered essential for the development of the personality of every individual and to preserve human dignity. So, they are the essential elements of a democratic country. The Constitution of India provides 6 fundamental rights: right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and the last one is right to constitutional remedies. Let's know about the first right, right to equality. This right provides equality before law. It means equal laws for everyone, whether the person is rich or poor. There will be no discrimination on the basis of religion, gender, race, caste, or place of birth, and even people are given equality of opportunities in matters of public employment. And now, abolition of untouchability of lower caste, they were considered as untouchables, and even they were not allowed to enter the public places, temple, etc., and their living areas were separate. So those untouchables they were exploited, and after independence, when it was decided that equality would be there for everyone, so that's why untouchability it has been abolished by the constitution. Then abolition of titles. What are these titles? These titles were given to the rich people during the British rule, such as Khan Bahadur, Rai Bahadur, Khan Sahib. So these titles they created division in the society among between the rich people and the poor. So that's why these titles have been abolished. Now the Indian government they awarded the people by giving them awards for their excellence, for their bravery, and for their achievements such as Bharat Ratna, Arjuna awards. So now no more titles, only awards are there. So the next one is right to freedom. This right is a cluster of many freedoms. It means there are many freedoms under this single right. Very important right, students, and I think your favorite right, because everyone is fond of freedom, whether a human being or animal or bird. So this right provides us freedom of speech and expression. Speech and expression very important, so that anyone should be able to express himself in front of the others. So very important right. And freedom to assemble peacefully and without arms. If someone wants to criticize the government, any organization or group of people, they can do that, but peacefully and without arms, without weapons. Freedom to form associations and unions. For example, teachers union, bankers unions, and labor union. These unions and associations are formed to protect the rights of the people and to just provide them justice. Then freedom to move freely throughout the territory of India. We can move within the territory of India. No one can stop us. And freedom to reside and settle in any part of India. And the next is freedom to practice any profession or to carry on any occupation, trade or business. And RTE, right to education. Right to education, it was included in the constitution in 2002 for the first time as a fundamental right. What is this right? So according to this right, the government shall provide free and compulsory education to all children in the age group of 6 to 14 years. So this is the right to freedom. And let's know about the next right. Right against exploitation. So this right, it prohibit trafficking in human beings. It means selling and purchasing of human beings, that is completely banned. It's not allowed. And any kind of forced labor or and begar, it means work without wages, that is also against constitution. Constitution doesn't allow that. And prohibition of employment of children below the age of 14 years in any factory, mine or any hazardous occupations. It means that children below the age of 14 years cannot be employed in factory, mine or any dangerous occupations. Then right to freedom of religion. This right gives us freedom of conscience and conscience thinking, and right to profess, practice and propagate any religion. Remember 3P. 3P means profess, practice and propagate any religion. So we can profess any religion, we can practice any religion, and we can propagate, we can spread any religion. And freedom to every religious institution to manage its own affairs in matters of religion. It means religious institutions, they have the freedom, they can manage their internal matters, no one will interfere. And government will not collect any taxes for the promotion of any particular religion. There is income tax, sale tax, GST, but no religion tax. No religious instructions can be imparted in any educational institutions which is wholly or partly maintained out of state funds. It means if any government school or any government institution, they cannot impart religious education because our government doesn't promote any particular religion. That's why government institutions also, they cannot impart religious education. Next is cultural and educational rights. Very important right for the minorities. This rights provides guarantee to the citizens to preserve, maintain and promote their culture and language, because culture and language very important part of the society. So this right this right provide assistance to the minorities so that they can establish their educational institutions, so to preserve their culture and their language. The last one is right to constitutional remedies. So this is very important right, because it provides safeguard to other fundamental rights. So under this right, if any of our five fundamental right is violated, is hurt, so we can go to the court and we can seek justice under this right. So this right is a protector of other fundamental rights. But these fundamental rights, we should remember that these are not absolute, and some restrictions are imposed upon them. Why these restrictions? Just to safeguard the interest of entire community. Sometimes these fundamental rights can be restricted, and how they can be restricted? In case if there is spread of any infectious disease. During these days it is going on, you know about the COVID-19. So in case of any infectious disease, spread of any infectious disease, the free movement of the people, that can be restricted. And then freedom of movement also can be restricted. In case of, we have already discussed. Then the next one is freedom to practice any profession. How it can be restricted? It doesn't mean that government has given us the freedom to practice any profession, so one can become a gambler or smuggler. So it doesn't mean that we can take up any profession. If any profession that is against the welfare of the society, that is completely against the laws. So restriction regarding practicing any profession. And then restriction of freedom of expression. When freedom of expression doesn't mean to speak or write anything you feel like, any thought or expression that disturbs public peace or harmony, or instigate communal violence, something against national integration or the unity of the country, that is completely against the constitution, and that is also restricted. Fundamental duties. Rights without duties are meaningless. That's why it has been said, if a person doesn't perform his or her duties, others cannot enjoy their rights. So fundamental duties were added to the Indian Constitution in 1976 through 42nd Amendment. So these are very important, and every citizen of India is expected to perform them. Let's discuss. The first one is to abide by the Constitution. We have to accept the Constitution and to respect its ideals, institutions. We have to respect the national flag, the national anthem. To cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. So the ideals adopted by freedom fighters, we have to cherish them, we have to follow them. We have to protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. So we will not do something against the unity and integrity of our country. To defend the country and to provide national services whenever it is required. To promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood amongst all people of India. So we will not do anything that is against the dignity of women and something against harmony and spirit of brotherhood. We have to preserve and value the rich heritage of our composite culture, and to protect and improve the natural environment including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife. So it's our duty to protect the environment. We have to develop scientific temper, humanism, spirit of inquiry and reform. Scientific attitude should be there. We should not be superstitious, and humanity, that is very important for everyone. And public property to be safeguarded, and we will not create violence. We will not destroy our public property. To strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the national constantly rises to higher level of endeavor and achievement. So we should do the efforts for the economy, to improve the economy of the country, and it is the duty of the parents to provide education to their children. So these are the fundamental duties. Directive principles of state policies. So these are the guidelines, instructions given by the Constitution. The government at all levels are expected to follow these guidelines, and if the state governments will follow these guidelines, they will establish a welfare state in India. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar considered these guidelines as powerful instrument for the transformation of India from a political democracy into an economic and social democracy. So there are different categories of directive principles: economic principles, social principles, Gandhian principles, and directive principles related to international peace and security. Ultimately, the aim of the directive principles is just the welfare of the citizens of India. So the last topic is secularism. Secularism means it is based on equal treatment to all the religions, and very important, just to provide a healthy atmosphere for the people. Every citizen of India is free to believe in and practice any religion of his or her choice. Every religious group has freedom to manage its own affairs, and state will not discriminate against any group or individual on the basis of religion. So secularism, very important, just to maintain the integrity of the country, unity of the country. Why this is important for our country? It enables people of different religions to live in harmony with other faiths, and it protects the rights given to the minorities, and it also safeguards democracy by limiting the powers of majority. I hope you are able to understand this. If you like it, please subscribe my channel. Thank you very much.